As the five of us visited the trail, we saw signs on the benches and hanging in the trees saying worthless or society's trash. Being moved with compassion, we have decided as a team that we would make a difference.
The story of how God brought our team together is an amazing story. For me, it began in the spring of 2013. I'd been pastoring in Issaquah for 9 years. I was preaching every Sunday. I visited almost every door in the city. I was basically doing what every pastor does. Then one day, God brought a young teenager into my life. His name was Kyle. He asked me a question, a real simple question. He said, "Do you know about the trail and the trail kids?" The trail? The who? No, I didn't know. Then Kyle took me to this trail, which was only 4 blocks away from our church. That day I met a large group of young people. I could see that many of them had various needs, and even some of the young people were homeless. I couldn't believe it, homeless teens in one of the wealthiest cities in our state. Obviously, I was shocked. How did I pastor for 9 years and not know that these teens were right there? God began to show me that if I would just simply open my eyes and see the world through His eyes, I might be surprised at the suffering and needs of our community. Since that day, I knew that God was calling me to minister to these young people.
My name is Linda Meisner. Some of you may already know me from the book The Cross and the Switchblade, written by David Wilkerson. I saw firsthand on the streets of New York City the lives of drug addicts and gangsters transformed by the gospel of Jesus Christ. Later, I went on to become one of the leaders of the Jesus People movement, which swept the United States. Tens of thousands of young people turned to the Lord Jesus. For the last 40 years, I've lived as a missionary in Europe. I never expected that I would ever leave Europe because it was a great mission field. But in November 2011, I heard the unmistakable prophetic word that I was to return to the United States because God wanted to do it again. Hundreds and thousands of today's generation of youth would be reached by the gospel of Jesus Christ. And now I am here together with my son Dan, Josh, and Kirsten, and we're making ourselves available as God's missionaries to these trail kids.
Well, Dan, Linda, and I, we met briefly when you all visited our church. But it wasn't until Linda and I bumped into each other at a yard sale that a connection was formed. Linda gave me the book, The Cross and the Switchblade, and proceeded to tell me that she had worked in the ministry in New York. I was really shocked by that, but I held back in sharing with her my excitement until I had time to absorb the information. Later on, I shared with her that as a teenager, I had watched the movie The Cross and the Switchblades, and it had made such a profound impact on my life that I never forgot it. God had used that movie to plant a seed in my heart, and I wanted to go out and reach the kids, the drug-addicted youth, and the gang members. And so when I met her and she showed me that book, God used that to trigger the memory of a seed that He had planted in my heart so long ago. It was at that time I realized that this was a God-ordained friendship.
Wow, that is so.
I love you, Jesus. I worship and adore you. Just want to tell you, Lord, I love you more than anything.
I never wanted to move to America because I wanted to be where the souls were, and America has a church on every corner. But over the last decade, I've seen America fall from glory to a state of decadence. And there's a real risk of America failing. So when I learned that my mom had received a call from the Lord to return to the U.S., I saw it as my duty to stand by my mother and to avail myself to whatever the Lord intends to do to save this nation.
Just raise your hands towards heaven and start to worship the Lord.
Back in Sweden, my wife and I had a beautiful, large home by the lake with family, friends, work, and ministry there. But we made the decision to abandon it all to become missionaries right here in Issaquah. It's been a journey of faith. I'm excited to work with my mother and Josh and Kristen and to let the trail kids know that they are loved, that they are cared for, and that God has a great plan for each and one of them.